middle of a tangential sugya in Eruvin, we discussing klolin machlekes Reb Meir Reb Yehuda lachas Reb Yehuda machlekes Reb Yosi mechaveira chaveirav lachas Reb Yosi machlekes Reb Akiva v'chaveirav lachas Reb Akiva v'chahena. The Gemara Reb Mashiach says that these rules are lav dafka, and he's looking for cases where he says the lav dafka. We answered up the case. We said that maybe when the Gemara goes out and says the halacha is like so and so, maybe the halacha is like so and so. Then in that situation, the halacha is so and so. However, when the Gemara does not go ahead and make a decision, then we shleimich on the rule. Just 1 second. Then we would be shleimich on the rule. So we're up to Mem Zayin Amid Aleph, and we're continuing the discussion. 1, 2, 3, 4 lines down. 4 lines down. Now, so what is this sheer schedule? Now. So now, okay, we're under discussion is the following chart. Under discussion is this chart. It's under there. It's under that. You have 2 of them right there. You have what happened was a Jew was supposed to go ahead and make he left. He took off. He did not go ahead and make an Eruv. And what do? Says Reb Meir, right? Says Reb Meir, well, if the Jew didn't make an Eruv, then you're stuck. He owns a piece of the land, and you don't have an Eruv. You can't go ahead and carry in that chutzner. Then you're a regular chatzeris. And one of the people who owns the house in the chutzner leaves. He leaves the city, and he never made an Eruv with you. And he never made an Eruv with you. So what's the halacha? It says Reb Meir, the Jew, if it's a Jew left, it's not a good Eruv. If it's a guy who left, it's not a good Eruv. What's the reason? Because they own a piece of the chutzner, and there's no Eruv made. Rabbi Yehuda says, no, in both cases, it's fine, because they're not in the city. Since they're not in the city, it's okay. Rabbi Yosi says, it depends. Says Rabbi Yosi, by the Jew, he won't return on Shabbos, so therefore, it's a good Eruv. It's like he's removed himself totally. The guy might return, so therefore, it's not a good Eruv. That's the Nachri. Rav Shimon agrees with Rabbi Yehuda. Rav Shimon agrees with Rabbi Yehuda that even the city, he says a bigger chiddush. Rabbi Yehuda says only if he's not in the city. He says even if you're in the city, you're not going to return. So Rabbi Shimon is the biggest mako. Okay, so this is the case under discussion, and we really don't care about the case at all. We care about who the halacha is like and applying it to the rule. But now we have the background enough to understand. Okay, so says the Gemara. Let's see it inside. A person leaves his house for halach lishreis b'eracheretz, goes to spend Shabbos in another city. Whether it's a Jew or a guy, Isa, Levenei Chatzeres, Reb Meir. So Reb Meir, he asks the Chatzer on the Beit Chatzeres. That's it. You can't carry. Reb Yehuda says no. Ain't no Isa. It's not Asa. Reb Yehuda says that what? Again, they're not in the city. It's good. Reb Yosi, Nachri Isa Yisrael ain't no Isa. The Nachri who could possibly return on Shabbos with Asa. The Jew is not going to return on Shabbos with not Asa. And if they ain't derech Yisrael over b'Shabbos. Shimon says, even the Jew in the same city, Eina Oisei. Shekvar Siach Taita. Rav Chama Bar Goyi, Rav, Halacha Reb Shimon, Halacha Reb Shimon. Uman Paul Galeha, Reb Yehuda. And who argues in Reb Shimon, Reb Yehuda? Ivam Reb Yehuda, Reb Shimon, Halacha Reb Yehuda. So why was it necessary? So your rule is not a good rule. Your rule is that the Halacha Reb Shimon, Reb Yehuda, Halacha Reb Yehuda. Here we see the Halacha Reb Shimon. So your rule says Reb Mashashia. Your rule is not ironclad. Well, my question says the Gemara. When you learned the halacha is like so and so, that's the halacha. On the other hand, over here, where you would not learn, let's say this case you happen to mention the halacha of Shimon. That's when the rule doesn't apply. But let's say it's a scenario where the Gemara did not mention, and you're subject to who, then the halacha would apply. So again, Rabbi Shashia has not been successful in saying that the rule of Rabbi Yochanan is not ironclad. Guys, we're good? You understand that? Again, it's a very nice Gemara because it's just tangential. I mean, Gemara is always nice. This one's it's very understandable Gemara. Like basically for Friday afternoon when you got to make Shabbos quickly, it's like really no sweat. Okay, next case. Elam Mehaditnan. Okay, Mehaditnan. B'zeu she'amru ha'ani ma'ar b'raglav. An ani, he can go ahead and he doesn't have pas, he doesn't have a meal. He can go ahead physically and make an eruv. Only an ani, a regular person cannot make an eruv without going ahead physically and bringing food there. It's no difference. We said ma'arv pas to make it easy on the usher that he can send another individual there to go ahead and make the eruv. That he wouldn't have to physically go himself. Echad ani ve'echad asher v'imri lo rav sayin banami halach Rabbi Yehuda. So tati lamali. We have a rule of thumb, guys. Machloikas Rabbi Yehuda v'Reb Meya halach is like Rabbi Yehuda, correct? So if that's an ironclad rule, why would it be necessary to say over here that halach is like Rabbi Yehuda? It must be that it's not ironclad. When you had to go out of your way to say that halach is like Rabbi Yehuda, it must be in other places halach is like Rabbi Meya. There it subverts your rule. Says the Gemara, v'ha'amir Rabbi Meya Rabbi Yehuda halach Rabbi Yehuda. My kusha, Dilma less like Nikoli. Who said this? Rav. Who said our rules? Rabbi Yochanan. So Rav is not linked into saying about Allah is like Rabbi Yochanan with these rules. Maybe Rav doesn't hold these rules. Rav had to go out of his way to say that Allah is like Rabbi Yehuda because he doesn't hold all over Allah is Rabbi Yehuda, Machlekes Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Meya. So therefore, you have no rayas. How are we doing, guys? You good? You believe that part?
No, I have full buying. That's fine. The rule is a rule.
No, he made that. No, the rule. This rule is Rabbi Yochanan's rule. This rule is Rabbi Yochanan's rule.
It's
Rabbi Yochanan's rule, not a Bava rule. El Mihaditnan. Okay. Okay. We have a rule, a law about a woman who gets divorced or widowed. She has to wait 3 months before remarrying. We know there are 2 types of pregnancies. There's a 7th month and a 9th month. We say pregnancy is recognizable after 3 months. So in order to ascertain the father of the child, we wait. Because we won't wait, you'd have a suffix whether it's the ben Teshel Rishon, if you don't wait, or Ben Shiva L'Sheni. So to avoid that problem, what we do is we wait. Now, what happened? We know that in marriage, there are 2 steps to marriage. There's Eruvin and Nesuin. It's not as though we do both simultaneously. But in those days, they used to have Eruvin. They would get married, but they wouldn't live together. They usually had a period of 12 months. And then the man would bring the wife into the Rishus, which is called Nesuin. During Eruvin, she is a complete Eishes Ish. If she had relations with another man, she would be Chayav Misa. So now you have over here, let's say the husband dies or divorces her from Eruvin. So there's no svara to say she's pregnant because they never lived together. Nonetheless, they have another sheet there. Nonetheless, the Tanakama, the Tanakama and Reb Meya both hold that Nesuin and even Eruvin were goyza Eruvin utter Nesuin. That just like, in other words, if we don't wait by Nesuin 3 months, by Eruvin 3 months, you may not come to wait by Nesuin 3 months. So to avoid that problem, what we do is you wait both. That's the Tanakama and Reb Meya. Reb Yehuda says that Eruvin, right? If divorced and married from Eruvin, you don't have to wait 3 months. Even to marry, you can get married right away. Why? Because of Eruvin, there's no reason to think she's pregnant. However, by Nesuin, you could get engaged, but you can't get married. Could get engaged, but you can't get married. Rabbi Yossi makes a chilik between whether it was a grusha or a lamana. If it was a grusha, now Rabbi Yossi agrees that you can't get married, you can get engaged. He holds that you can't, with goyser get Eruvin out to Nesuin, but he holds the grusha, yes, engaged. Yes, engaged. Now, Almana, you can't get engaged because she has a din of Avelis. She has a din of Avelis for 30 days. So therefore, she has to wait 30 days. So that's the discussion The Gemara is going to, and then we're of course going to say who the Allah is like. We're going to bring in the same thing again. Okay, says the Gemara. Hayavama, a Yavama, the husband dies. Like Tachlet Shnatu Chalitza. Rashi brings you to chalitza on a pregnant, and then she miscarries. It's not going to be a good chalitza. Like tisyabein, achiyu lo shlosh chadashim until you wait 3 months. All other women, lo yinasu, they should not get married. Lo yisasu, they shouldn't even get engaged because they are after getting married. Achiyu lo shlosh chadashim until you wait 3 months. Echad basula is whether they were from Eruvin. Obviously, if she's a basula for marriage, it must be they never consummated the marriage because there was during the 12-month period where they were separate. So whether it's a woman who's a bula, and where's that? How do you find that? We're saying that if she was a basula, if she was a basula, how do you have a basula for marriage, fellas? Only because it was Eruvin. She got niskash from Eruvin. So it's coming to explain that scenario. Rabbi Yehuda says the suas could get engaged, but arusas yinasu, and arusas could even get married because since it was an Eruvin, there's no shas that she was pregnant. Chutz me arusa sheb Yehuda, so they should leave a gas plate. In Yehuda, there was yichud done by the. In Yehuda, there's two yichud. There's Yehuda and Golil. Yehuda was in the south of Eretz Yisrael. They used to have yichud. I think the Gemara in Kesuba says because of something to do with the governors, they used to go ahead and have to be both for them first. So since in Yehuda there was yichud, it possibility exists that she is pregnant. So therefore, from Eruvin, from Yehuda, you would have to wait. All women can get engaged. Chutz min almana, evil. She has to wait for Evelus. She have to wait 30 days. Okay, so we saw that map. So we say on this, Rabbi Elazar one day did not come to the base medrash. He found Rav Asi coming out of the base medrash. Amalei said to him, "My Amar bein midrasha." Why do they say in the base medrash? Amalei hachi Am Rabbi Yochanan. This is what Rabbi Yochanan is saying. Halach Rabbi Yosi. The halach is like Rabbi Yosi. The yichida polygalaha. The halach is like Rabbi Yosi, and with mechlal we can figure out that it wasn't majority ruling against him, but it was a yachid ruling against him. Says in but Tanya, this is a raya. She was constantly running home to daddy and not living with her husband. Or she was angry at her husband. Or the husband was old and incapable of impregnating her. Or sick, or she was sick. Akara, Zakena, Ketana. The islandess is a woman who does not display feminine characteristics. She took a fertility drug, the opposite, an infertility drug, a sterility drug. He was in prison before, and she wasn't with anyone else. Her husband dies and she miscarries, so you know she's not pregnant. All these cases, you have to wait 3 months. Even though over here there's no svara to say she's pregnant, not to make a chilik between women, you wait 3 months before getting married. These are the words of Reb Meir. Rabbi Yosi mater l'ares. Rabbi Yosi permits to get married. Ulinasei miyad lamali. V'amar Reb Meir Rabbi Yosi alach Rabbi Yosi. Now he permitted. Rabbi Yosi permitted you to get engaged. Ulinasei miyad. So lamali. Why do you have to say this? V'amar Reb Meir Rabbi Yosi alach Rabbi Yosi. Machlekes Rabbi Yosi Reb Meir alach is like Rabbi Yosi. Maybe it's to exclude the shita of Nachman bar Shmuel. Damar halach maybe because they rise up. In other words, we have a rule. Machlekes Rabbi Yosi Reb Meir halach Rabbi Yosi. We had a better rule. Machlekes Rabbi Yosi Reb Yehuda halach Rabbi Yosi. Machlekes Reb Meir Reb Yehuda halach Rabbi Yehuda. So if Rabbi Meir loses to Rabbi Yehuda, and Rabbi Yehuda loses to Rabbi Yosi, certainly Rabbi Meir loses to Rabbi Yosi. Good. So why do you have to pass on over here like this? So Gemara says, why? Because Nachman Shmuel says that Nachman says in the name of Shmuel that the halacha is like when it comes to a chumrah, the halacha is like Reb Meir. So you might think therefore over here it's a chumrah to wait, even though there's no reason to think she's pregnant, right? Kamash Malon, that we don't say that. So therefore, you have no raya that Rabbi Yochanan's rule is not ironclad, because again, we have an escape clause. Why it was necessary over here, the paskin like Rabbi Yossi, simply because we have another rule fighting back that the halacha is like Rabbi Meir by his gezeris, and this is a chumrah, so you might think the halacha is like Rabbi Meir. Elam Hadatanya, Holchem liYirid Shal Nachrim. You're able to go to the fair of the Goyim. They used to have on days of the Chagim. They used to have a fair, Fair. The Loichim Mehen Behema. You can buy from them animals, the Avodim and servants, Ushvachais and maid servants, because you're elevating them. Who bought them Sadas Ukravim, because you're buying land in Eretz Yisrael from them. So you're Yishuv Eretz Yisrael, or you're getting rid of Goyim from Eretz Yisrael. The Koisev Umayla Bar Koish Shelahem, you're able to go ahead and have these deals sealed in their courts, even though you're giving credibility. When a Jew shows up in a Goyish court, you feel very good about it. So nonetheless, we do this. In these cases, you're elevating the people, the avodim you're buying. You're elevating the land by getting it out of their hands. So therefore, despite the fact you're going to go ahead and finalize the deal in a Goyish court, it's permitted. And if it's a kayin, even we spoke about the gezerah of Eretz Ha'amim, you would be able to go out, Lodun ul Arid Mahem, to go ahead and deal with them. B'shem shematam b'chutz la'aretz kach matam b'beis hakfaris. The Gemara beis hakfaris like a daitach. It's tumah deraisa. We don't let a kayin go into beis hakfaris. Elo beis hapras d'rabbanan. We met the infamous beis hapras already. It was a field out. You had a kever in it, and it was plowed over, and therefore you're worried that maybe you have an etzem kisa'ira. It's the rabbanon. You can go in and blow it, and therefore what? You're permitted. Mitami is permitted to get tame Lisa Isha to go ahead and get married, will live on Torah and to learn Torah. I'm Rabbi Yehuda Emasai is manchei mitzvah lulmoid. That right? You can't find someone to teach you. If you find someone to teach you, yitama. So if you can't find a teacher in Eretz Yisrael, then you go to Chutz La'aretz. You can go there, even though the kohen can come tame. But if he has to teach in Eretz Yisrael, he can't. Even if you find someone there, all right, Nami Yitami is able to get tummy. Why? On the days, can't learn from everybody. There are people you can't, there's certain thing that the people can learn from certain people, they can't learn from other people. So just because you have a Rebbe in Eretz Yisrael, it doesn't mean that that's going to be the best Rebbe for you. Everyone has to find a Rebbe that what they are comfortable with and that they're able to learn from. It says the Tabrashi, you're not safe to learn from everyone who teaches. Yesh Rav Shemishnas Tzur b'Fiv. There's a Rav who the Torah is very suited b'Fiv. V'Shainol Talmidim Derek Tzara, and he teaches in a concise manner. I have a raya from here that people, the more you talk, the worse it is. It's mashma over here. A good Rebbe is able to go ahead and get something over in a very concise way, because you find people who suffer from verbal diarrhea. Sometimes they say the right pshat, but it gets lost somewhere in the other verbiage. They just talk. And sometimes a person's able to cut through the zach, and you're able to learn from them. That was a plug for me. So a Maisa with Yosef HaKohen, Sholach Eitzel Rabbi L'Tzidain, which is out, right? Lumei Torah. Rabbi Yochanan, Halach Rabbi Yossi, says Rabbi Yochanan, Halach is Rabbi Yossi. Now, why would it be necessary to say that Halach is Rabbi Yossi? We know from the rule that Halach is like Rabbi Yossi, right? We know from the rule. V'lamali, v'am Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yossi, Halach Rabbi Yossi. We have Rabbi Yehuda going up Rabbi Yossi, Halach is like Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi, you still need to tell me in this scenario that Halach is Rabbi Yossi. And this is Rabbi Yochanan speaking, who made the rule. You can't say it's Rav who doesn't hold from it, guys, right? This is Rabbi Yochanan who made the rule. When does the rule apply? If they argue in the Mishnah. Everything we brought until now was Mishnayos. But now, Avol Bebraisa, Eimaloi, but in a Braisa, maybe the rule doesn't apply. Look at Rashi. I have a very skeptical young man next to me. I love this house. Avol Bebraisa, says Rashi, Dilma Ichlif, the Rabbi Yehuda, the Rabbi Yossi, the Rabbi Yossi, the Rabbi Yehuda. The Brises, there's a reason Rabbi kept them out. The Messiah on a Brisa was not as strong. Guys, remember, Rabbi didacted the Torah Shabbat. He put it down, the Torah Shabbat Peh. he gathered all the people together and he went and brought down the one that was the clearest, that was true, that had a Masorah on. Those that were not so clear remained outside. That's the word brisa. Brisa means outside. So it's a geschmack of pshat. When would a klal apply, guys? Maybe to a Mishnah that you know unequivocally that everyone said what they said. In other words, there's no mix-up. Rabbi Yehuda said what he said, Rabbi Yossi said what he said. Masha'en ken a brisa, yichol liyot, it's possible that what? It's possible that they switched. So if you're going to say the rule, it's going to go ahead and it's going to be the exact opposite. It's very geschmack of Shai Rashi, right? It's very, very, very nice. Rav David, we're on Mem Zayin Amid Beis. Mem Zayin Amid Beis. At the top. It's going to be two dots in a second. So therefore, maybe only, when did Rabbi Yochanan say that rule? He said it only what? In the Mishnah. But a brisa not. Kemash Malon, halacha Rabbi Yossi in this scenario. Okay. Aim Elahachi Kamar. So when did Rav Mishashia say his din? Again, Rav Mishashia said what? He said that the rule is not ironclad. He hasn't proven it, like Rabbi Yochanan says, Mahani klali lav devia kol ninu. These klalim are not according to everyone. The harav lesle hani klali. As we saw, Rav who Paskin felt the need to say halacha Rabbi Yehuda. Obviously, does not hold like in this rule. Because if he did hold halacha Rabbi Yehuda, it would be unnecessary to say it. Because the halacha machlekes Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Meir halacha Rabbi Yehuda. So what comes out after a nice, very nice discussion, a nice break in the action, right? A nice break in the action. It comes out that the rule is only according to Rabbi Yochanan, not according to Rav. Again, who knows? Says the Gemara, Amar Yehuda Mishmuel. Now let's go back in time a little bit. Let's go back while we were discussing. We got into the sugya about a man who goes to sleep. If a man who goes to sleep, he's kind of shvisa. We wanted to know why. Is it because since if he be up, he'd be kind of shvisa, therefore he's kind of, but a kli of hefka would not be kind of shvisa, and anyone who picks it up can take it any direction he wants? Or no, we said that the reason why if he falls asleep he's kind of shvisa is because an ownerless kli, a kli of hefka, is kind of shvisa. So he's no worse than what? Than an ownerless kli. So now we're going to segue into what about a kli is owned by a guy? Is it kona shvisa or not? Again, the same shaila. If it's kona shvisa, you buy it from the guy, or the guy gives it to you or returns it to you. You would be limited to the shvisa of the guy. If it's not kona shvisa, then you can take it wherever your shvisa is. You'll be able to take it wherever your shvisa is. So that's what we're doing right now on Mem Zayin Amid Beis. Amar Rabbi Yehuda Mishmuel. Cheftzei nachri. Ein koine shvisa. The chayfetz of a guy is not koine shvisa, and if you take it, you get it. Then you will be able to go wherever you want. It'll kiragle adam. Laman. Now, who did Shmuel say this according to? Who did Shmuel say it to? There's two possibilities. He said it according to Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, who held cheftzei hefker has shvisa, or he said it according to Rabbanan, who held cheftzei hefker does not have shvisa. So who did he say, Shmuel, who did he say this goes according to? Ilay Rabbanan, who say Cheftzei Hefka is not kind of shvisa, Pshita, then it's pashit that the chayfetz of a goy is not kind of shvisa. Hash the Cheftzei Hefka, the leslu bailim ain't kind of shvisa. Cheftzei Anachri, the islu bailim mi boy. The Cheftzei of a Nachri, that there's a Baal. Do you need to tell me? And because a Nachri perished. A nachri has no shvisa, guys. Hefker. The two stadim hefker, guys, it's ownerless. So whoever picks it up, it should be what? It should be his, which way it goes. That's the tzad that cheftzei hefker ain't by shvisa. The tzad that cheftzei hefker yesh by shvisa is because there's no one stopping from the shvisa that it should be chal. Here it is, it's in the world, it's good, it's ownerless, but wherever it is, it's kona shvisa. By a guy, what's the svara? There's two svaras. If he's not kona shvisa, you could take it wherever you want to go. If he is kona shvisa, then you're limited to 4 amis, right? If he's not koine shvisa, then if he's not koine shvisa, excuse me, if he's not koine shvisa, he has no shvisa. So l'chayra, you should be able to take it any which way. Let's see what Rashi says on this last point. Ein koine shvisa, v'hari hein kiragle kol adam, and therefore you could take it wherever you want. Then boy michutz l'tchum l'toicha ir. An application of this, if he comes from outside the tchum into the city, muta lo lichem l'chol ruach. But guys, what happens if he is koine shvisa? Then you'll be limited to 4 amas. If he's koine shvisa, in other words, what happens? The guy is koine shvisa outside the city. He brings it now into the city. What's the halacha? That's something that comes out from the tchum. You're limited to 4 amas. So if the guy would be koine shvisa, then you have a halacha of 4 amas. So it can't be that he said this halacha according to what? According to Rabbanon. Ela liba de Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. Ukamash malon. Ein madam Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri koine shvisa hani milachefse hefker. The less lu bailim, where there's no baal. Avachefse anachri this lu bailim loy. The chefse hefker that there is bailim. Then we don't say that it's koine shvisa. It's a very funny svara. I don't even know mishmol chefse nachri ain't koine shvisa. The chayf it's not koine shvisa. Okay, it's not koine shvisa because the goy has no shvisa. That's why. You know the reason it's not koine shvisa because the goy has no shvisa. A goy doesn't have a din of shvisa. Meisavei Reb Shimon ben Elazar omer hashoel kli min anachri. Someone borrows a kli from a nachri b'yantif. V'china mashlo l'nachri kli me'erev yantif. You lend a kli to a nachri erev yantif. So in this case, you lent it to him. It was in his rishus erev yantif, right? And he returns it on yantif. V'hakelim ba'eitzres, or kelim that is stored in storage. Sheshiflei b'teichat chum yesh lehem apayim ama l'chol ruach. You have a payim ama to kol ruach. Question: if you're telling me that it's not koine shvisa, why would you? If you're telling me you're not koine shvisa, you shouldn't be limited to what to 2,000 amas. The nachri sheivlei peris mechutz tchum harizel lo yazizim komo. You shouldn't leave it. If you're going to say he holds chefzi nachri is koine shvisa, that would explain why 2,000 amas, because it was in his rishus and it gets he's koine shvisa and it gets shvisa. Hamani Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. Aliyah miksav Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri chefzi nachri ain't koine shvisa. Why? Because the guy does not have shvisa. Hamani lo Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri v'lo Rabbi Bonan. In other words, you don't have anyone to go according to. The Olam Ksav Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri chefze nachri koine shvisa. The Olam will tell you that what the chefzim of a nachri are koine shvisa, and therefore the price is correct, and therefore you get 2,000 amas. Ushmuel damek rabbanan, and we said above Shmuel. How could we said Pasha that Shmuel if chefze hefk is not koina, so certainly chefze bailim nachri is not koina. We said Pshita says no. He's going according to Rabbanan, not according to Yochanan ben Nuri. So therefore, this price that says, guys, in answer to the question, this price that says when he gets 2,000 amas is koine shvisa goes according to Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, who says a goy is koine shvisa. So just like a chefze hefka koine shvisa, the chefze mo goy koine shvisa, and you get 2,000 amas. Above we said ein koine shvisa, and we wanted to suggest it's Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. It's not Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. It's the Rabbanan. We had a question. If it's the Rabbanan, it's pashit. If hefka doesn't work, this doesn't work. It says no. There's a chiddush over here. What's the chiddush? Ushmul damik rabbanan. Udeka'amid l'rabbanan pshita. So ma'ad tema gezeira bailim de nachri at the bailim de Yisrael. I might think that you just like a Jew is koine shvisa, the guy is koine shvisa, and even though they hold chefse hefka not, I'd say the guy is a Jew or to guy. Kemash malon that the chachamim are not worried about that, and there's no chefse hefka by a guy. There's no chefse shvisa by a guy. Rabbi Bar and Rabbi Yochanan, chefse nachri koine shvisa. Chefse of a nachri is koine shvisa. He argues in Shmuel. Rabbi Yochanan argues in Shmuel, and he says a goy would be koine shvisa because they were bailing the nachri at the bailing the Yisrael. Ownership with goyzer, ownership of a Baal versus ownership of a Jew.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
An animal of a Jew cannot work on Shabbos, but an animal of a guy can work on Shabbos. An animal of a guy can work on Shabbos, but a pitcher for water can't be moved.
We have we have a machlokes for Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel in the Shabbos Daf Yud Ches, whether there's a din of shvisas kalim or not. Even on your din, there's no din of shvisas kalim. In other words, your kli, your kli can work. There's no din of resting your kli. You can cook your cholent on Shabbos and not worry that your pot is cooking, is working. So we're not worried. We're not worried. This is not working. This is talking about shvisa. This is being kind of for 2,000 amas. We're not speaking about working, the kli working on Shabbos. That is a din of, not a din of shvisa. That's a din of working, resting. This is a whole different din.
Okay.
Now, just so we have machlokes. Like Reb Shmuel, the keli of a goy is not kind of shvisa, and therefore whoever picks it up, you can take it wherever you want. According to Rabbi Yochanan, it is kind of shvisa, and you'd be limited to the radius of the. It says mahani dichri di'asid l'mavrachta. You have these rams that were bought out from outside the tchum. They were bought from mavrachta. They came from outside the tchum, and they bought from mavrachta. Sharilu Rabba lebnei mechuzah lemizra minayu. He held that they could buy it. That was on Yontif, and he held you could buy it. So Amar Ravinu Rava, my daitcha, Amar Yehuda Mashmuel chetzi nachri ein kohen shvisa. So therefore, if you're not kohen shvisa, it comes from outside Eretz Yisrael, guys. It comes from outside Eretz Yisrael, outside the tchum, outside the. Who cares? They're not kohen shvisa, so it's no issa. So Shmuel Rabbi Yochanan, Alach Rabbi Yochanan, machlokes Shmuel Rabbi Yochanan, Alach Rabbi Yochanan. And Rabbi Yochanan says it is kind of shvisa. So you should not be able to take these. You should be limited to 4 amas, guys. If he's kind of shvisa, what's the halacha? If you're kind of shvisa and you walk outside your tchum, you're limited to 4 amas. So if you're telling me the goy is kind of shvisa, he bought it from outside the tchum, how could the name Avrachta take it home? You're limited to 4. Why? Because Rabbi Yochanan says they are kind of shvisa. So Ravina is asking Rava about his psak. How do you allow them to go ahead buy him and take them wherever they want? You say Rabbi the Nachri, you have to buy them the Yisrael. Says Gemara, Choda Amarava, Liz Dinavnu Lebnei Mavrachta, let them take it home. The Kul Mavrachta Lidu Kidal Ramastamya. If you would get to the city, if the Tchum is brought into a city, then the whole city is considered 4 amas. So good other people who bought it would be limited. They won't be able to take it home. But the people who lived in the city themselves, they will be able to take it to the whole city because the whole city is considered 4 amas. Wish you all a good Shabbos. Bez Hashem tomorrow night, 9:30.
9:30.
9:30 tomorrow night. Yes, 9:30. All the best.
Shabbos, good Shabbos.
Shabbos, good Shabbos.
Enjoy.
Shabbos, Rabbi, good Shabbos.
How you doing, David?
Good Shabbos.
Sorry I came on late. I didn't realize what time he was starting today.
It's okay. Shabbos Shimon.
Good Shabbos. Take care. Have a good one.
Benji, we'll see ya.
Yes, sir. Mitzvah Shem.
Moshe, we're davening by Benji tonight. I'm not going into that shul if I can avoid the